This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Shaun Cole, and the real star of today's show is the topic of starting a new season. Now, recently, I covered the announcement by iRacing of the Audi 90 GTO, the Quattro, the all-wheel drive turbo snorting beast. This car they kept under wraps, completely secret from the public, but they made that announcement and it's a really, really cool car. On the heels of this, a week later, they more secretly brought out another car, the Nissan GTP ZX-T, another snorting beast of a boosted turbo GTP car this time, and a serious contender for the track. And along with that came Le Mans, making Season 4 2016 one of the biggest builds yet for iRacing. Now this had me all sorts of pumped up. I have to admit, I took pretty much most of the summer off, vacationing, hanging out with family and friends, and those hot temperatures and long days had me not doing a whole lot of sim racing. But now, the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer and cooler, and I'm finding myself drawn back to the rig, ready to race, ready to take things super seriously too. I'm back to having a logbook for every race, taking notes, really planning things out, and going in with a head of steam. Now, I had planned on running the Mazda MX-5. I'd already done a couple of races, and I was feeling pretty good about that. But then I had another last-minute vacation that had me missing the racing for week 1, and that kind of threw my plans off. But then came the Audi 90, and I thought, oh, great, I'm going to run this series. But they didn't have any series listed. So I went on vacation, not sure, thinking I was going to have to come home, try to get a last-minute race in just to participate in week 1. But lo and behold, on Monday morning comes the Nissan. Series mixed class with these two cars mated together, and funny enough, missing week 1. I wasn't going to be missing anything. I got back just in time to participate, and that takes us to today. So let's take a quick look at these two cars that are going to be competing in the mixed Kamel GT series, starting with, this is the Audi 90 GTO, or the Audi Quattro. This little all-wheel drive car was so dominant in Trans Am racing that it forced rule changes for the SCCA. Audi made some changes to it and entered the car into IMSA instead, and despite missing the first 3 races of the season, it went on to win 7 of the final 9 races at the hands of Hans Stuck, and finished 2nd in the championships. The car is a steel frame chassis and weighed in at about 2,600 pounds. It only had a little 2200cc 5-cylinder engine, but when matched with a KKK turbocharger, it cranked out 710 horsepower with a snorting howl of the boosted motor. The car has phenomenal handling and will exhibit a bit of understeer when pushed too hard on corner entry, and is overall fairly easy to recover. The horsepower mainly comes into play coming off the corners. The setup options are limited, and this makes it a great car for medium-level drivers. Now let's bring out the Nissan, and I really should say Nissan GTP ZX-T. Jaguar and Porsche, they had their dominant years of racing, winning almost everything. And then came Nissan from Japan with the 300, with a raunchy, snorting, and almost ugly beast of a car. The car was built as a joint venture with Lola supplying the 810 aluminum tub. It was then matched with a 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine from Nissan that produced 790 horsepower through a 5-speed transmission. This was all put together, built up, and into racing form by electromotive engineering. The Nissan GTP was built to slay the Jaguars and Porsche and knock them from their dominant reign. And that is exactly what this car did, going on to win tons of races and both drivers and constructors championships. The Nissan GTP is a beast of a car. It is brutal, it is angry, and it is mean. At the driver's right foot lays the throttle, which is contained lightning in a bottle. Press that throttle too hard, and this car will bite you. All control can be lost at about any moment if power management is not your thing. The car actually handles wonderfully, but its power far exceeds its dated tires' ability to hold onto the road. With all that said, it is an extremely fun car to drive, and when you can keep it on the track, offers very rewarding lap times. So for Season 4, this pair is going to be running in the Kamel with a K GT series, and this is very appropriate naming for that era. Also appropriate for the era is the track selection, a good list of tracks that you would have seen in IMSA back in the early 90s, with 9 of the 11 races coming from the real IMSA schedule that year and almost in the same order. Things start off in classic IMSA fashion with Daytona, followed by Sebring, and hitting other classic North American tracks like Road Atlanta, Lime Rock, Mid-Ohio, Mossport, Watkins Glen, Road America, and Sonoma. And the only 2 tracks not on the real schedule being Summit Point and Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, which I find very hard to believe, and what a shame they didn't run at that track, but we're going to, and we're going to finish off the season there. So I've already been turning laps, getting ready. I'm going to run in the Nissan, and I've been getting my rig dialed in. I got my notepad ready to go, and I am going to take this very seriously. I'll be running mostly West Coast time, so that means in the evenings, Pacific time, and during the weekends. And I hope a few of you out there are going to be a little bit inspired and join me in on this series, which I think is going to be a whole bunch of fun. 2 different classes of car, lots of passing guaranteed no matter what, because you have 2 different speeds of car, and that's going to make for some extra fun. The season just started on Monday, so it's not too late. You can get full points for the full 11-week season, and I'm going to finish it out, and hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun. For now, this is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you at the track, starting with Daytona.